If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another CD collection update video for you guys. Been a little while since we've done one of these, and I figured I might as well show off all of the stuff that I got while I was on vacation in Tennessee. As you can see over here, I got a nice hefty stack, 25 CDs that I got at a record shop in Tennessee. It's a record shop I always go to called the Rhythm Section inside of the Mountain Mall in Gatlinburg in the Smoky Mountains. And I thought I was one to go ham, and I certainly went ham. So we got 25. I'm going to go briefly through them all, and there you have it. So kicking things off, we've got AC/DC The Razor's Edge. This was the last, great AC/DC album I needed in my collection, because after all, Thunderstruck. Need I say more? But also Money Talks, the title track, Are You Ready? I mean, this is a great album. Definitely the best AC/DC album post Back in Black. And yeah, nothing more, nothing less to be said about it. Next up, completing the modern comeback run of Accept, I have The Rise of Chaos. Now, I didn't check this album out much when it came out in 2017. I don't know why. I guess after the amazement of Blind Rage that came out 3 years before, I don't know, I guess I just got too absorbed in other things that I just completely forgot about this album. But this is a worthy album in the comeback run for Accept, at least to me. Great tracks like Hole in the Head, Die by the Sword, the title track, Race to Extinction. Accept just continues doing what they do best. Kick ass. Next up, I didn't expect to see this at the shop, but I got Acid Baths When the Kite String Pops, the debut album from the legendary New Orleans sludge metal band. I'll be honest, I've always slept on Acid Bath, and that's largely because I'm not the biggest fan of sludge metal, though I do like it when done right. You know, bands like Melvins, Crowbar, COC, bands along those lines. And I always knew of Acid Bath, and I've heard a couple of things of theirs, and I liked what I heard, so I figured, why not get the debut? So now I need to get the second album, and I would have both of the Acid Bath releases. So, Acid Bath. Next up, and this one was kind of a bit sentimental considering Alexi Leo is no longer with us, but I got Children of Bodom's Follow the Reaper. Once I saw this at the shop, I'm like, gotta have it, because I will say I think this is probably the best Children of Bodom album. I mean, songs like the title track, Bodom After Midnight, Every Time I Die, Hate Me. Great album, especially for fans of power metal and melodic death metal, and even a little bit of black metal. You can find pretty much everything in those genres in this album. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out in a while, check it out. Next up, got a modern release from Bay Area legends Death Angel, The Evil Divide. I remember checking this album out when it came out, and I think it was in my top 10 album of the year list for 2016 when I was first doing major lists for the year. And this was near the top 10 for sure. This is a great album. I would say the best modern Death Angel album. I liked the latest one, Humanicide, but I thought this one blew Humanicide out of the water, and it still does to this day. But yeah, songs like Father of Lies, Hell to Pay, The Electric Cell, Let the Pieces Fall, Cause for Alarm, top to bottom, Bay Area thrash brilliance. Check it out if you haven't. And then I saw this one here, and I thought, I gotta get it for my boy, my dude, my dog, and my diggity doink Daniel DK. Exciter, Violence and Force. I have the debut album, Heavy Metal Maniac, and it's an awesome debut. This is a hell of a follow-up. Definitely showcasing a little more classic metal chops, especially with the song Pounding Metal, which is one of the best like metal anthem tracks ever. But even other great great songs like the title track, War is Hell, Swords of Darkness. This is a great album top to bottom and a hell of a follow-up to one of the best speed metal debuts of all time with Heavy Metal Maniac. So now I need to get, as far as like the great 80s run, I need to get Long Live the Loud and Unveiling the Wicked, and I would have the best Exciter albums. And so happy that DK's in this band, and new album coming probably in 2023. Be curious to check that out and see how DK does in some big leagues. So yeah, check this album out if you haven't. And then we get to a really cool one right here. Exhumer's Hostile Defiance. I've been in love with the last two Exhumer albums, like the Raging Tides in 2016. That was a hell of an album, and then it got just as good with Hostile Defiance. I want to say I reviewed this when it came out in 2019. I may not have, but it's still an awesome album. Metal Blade definitely taking care of these guys, top to bottom. Exhumer is basically doing what I thought Slayer should have been doing towards the end of their career. Like, this sounds like a better version of modern-day Slayer. And if you don't believe me, check it out, and check out the Raging Tides. Both of those albums whoop so much ass. Great German thrash. Honestly, I think this band should be in the Teutonic 4 over Tankard. That's just me. But yeah, Exhumer's Hostile Defiance. Next up, I saw this, and I thought, well, I've been needing to get some more albums from this band, and that's Ghost with Infestissimum, or back when they were known as Ghost BC, but I don't give a shit, it's Ghost. This was a great sophomore effort after their debut album, Opus Eponymous. I think they got better on this album in terms of songwriting, especially with songs like Secular Haze, Zombie Queen, Monstrance Clock, Year Zero. Some awesome songs on this album, and the only ones I'm missing now are Opus Eponymous and Prequel. I still will get Prequel because I still enjoy that album. I know Hannah from the Horseman Podcast hates that album. I like it because I love 80s pop. So there you go. But Infestissimum, this is an underrated one. I would say probably the most underrated out of the 5 Ghost albums we've gotten. Check it out if you haven't. Or if you haven't in a long time. Moving on. Finally got this one. And I'd been sleeping on getting this album for a long time, but I saw it at the shop. I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Godflesh Street Cleaner. 1989. Early industrial metal before Ministry was really doing it right. I mean, this album came out around the same time as Ministry's Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste when they really went industrial metal. But I would still say Godflesh is the real pioneer of industrial metal because it wasn't always about the dance vibe. Like, they were industrial, but in the darker sense. In, like, that grindcore, death metal, doom metal realm. And Justin Broderick showcasing why he's a very underrated guitarist and musician. After all, coming out of Napalm Death before the debut EP the year before, which I need to get that EP, as well as the second album. But yeah, Street Cleaner. And it's an earache album from that gold rush period in the late 80s through to the early to mid 90s. Say what you will about Earache Records, but this is a hell of an album for that label. Next up, we get one that I was really into when it came out in 2018, and that's High on Fire's Electric Messiah. And it's kind of strange how this is the last album we've gotten. You would have thought we would have gotten something new from High on Fire by this point. Maybe we're going to get one in 2023. Who knows? But Electric Messiah, I love this album because it brought in a little bit more of that, like, speed metal vibe, like more proper Motorhead stuff going on here. especially in the title track. But you still get the token stoner sludge doomy stuff on here, like in House of Enlil, Drowning Fog, The Witch and the Christ. I mean, top to bottom, this is a badass album, and Matt Pike, fucking crazy motherfucker, but great riff lord. Next up, this is one of the few albums from this band that I've been needing to get to complete, like, the amazing collection from this band. I got the debut self-titled debut from Iced Earth. People can say what they want about John Schaefer. I'll say it, he did nothing wrong, and leave it at that. But that doesn't take away from how great of a band Iced Earth was, and this was the start of it, 1990. And I know a lot of people put this album towards the bottom in Iced Earth's discography. I think this is an underrated album. Like, yeah, it's not Matt Barlow, it's Gene Adams, but I thought he served every song very well, especially the song Colors. That's a hell of a song. Like, it's very thrashy power metal, and that's really what Iced Earth has been pretty much their entire career. But yeah, self-titled debut from Iced Earth. Next up, we got, I saw this one, I thought I gotta have it, and that's Immortals All Shall Fall. The final album with Abath in the band after, and then eventually hiatus, and then legal shit. And legal shit's still going on in the band. It's like, fucking Abath, just come and take your band back. That's what I feel like. But yeah, this is, I think, an underrated gem in Immortals' discography. Songs like the title track, Unearthly Kingdom, Hordes to War. Really good stuff. 2009 as well, so... And it'd be 9 years later before we would get another Immortal album. But yeah, this is a great one too. And then I got this one, which I was kind of happy to get finally, and that's Judas Priest Rockarola. Yeah, it's not the original cover with the Coca-Cola logo, but I got it nonetheless. I think, even though it's towards the bottom in my rankings for Priest, I still think it's a decent debut. I mean, the title track's fun, but the song Run of the Mill is a gem on this album because it's like almost like a softer Black Sabbath song and a Pink Floyd song kind of mashed together, and it's a great like prog song. 1974, kind of underrated in my mind. It's good, nothing amazing except for Run of the Mill. I think that's an amazing song, but yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already, or if you haven't listened to it in a long time. Now this one, excuse me, this one probably the coolest one out of them all just for how it was made, and that is King Diamond's Them. This is the 2020 reissue on Metal Blade, and what makes this cool is it's very much like a vinyl on CD, and because it has like a nice little gatefold, and if I can get to it, probably one of the coolest things ever, and I didn't think this was possible, but like the CD itself looks like a vinyl, even though it's a CD back and it's black, but the texture on the outside feels like vinyl, which is really cool, and it looks like vinyl. Like, this is probably one of the coolest things I got in the collection now, and I do intend to get the rest of these reissues from King Diamond's early works, because, yeah, I really, really like this packaging. Really cool stuff, so Metal Blade, thumbs up to you for that. That was pretty sweet. I'm going to try and go through the rest of these as quick as I can. Next up, Lamb of God's Resolution. I've been needing to get more Lamb of God, as I've only had 3 albums, Ashes of the Wake, Sacrament, and 7 Sturm und Drang. But I got Resolution. I do eventually want to get As the Palaces Burn and Wrath at some point. Not sure about New American Gospel or the self-titled. Of course, we got the new album coming out, I think, next week, which I definitely am going to review, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, some Lamb of God action. And this one I didn't expect to find, but I was happy to get it, and that's Macabre Dahmer. I mean, macabre, wacky death metal with some thrashy grindcore stuff in there, singing about serial killers and weird hokey shit. And really, concept album about Jeffrey Dahmer, and what timing because of that Netflix film that came out about Dahmer. So I think this is the best soundtrack for that, even though it probably wasn't in the Netflix show because Netflix is stupid, but yeah, macabre Dahmer. And next up, and I feel ashamed for never having an album from this band in my collection until now, I got the debut from Metal Church. I mean, Metal Church, very underrated, speed, power, thrash, whatever you want to call them. But, like, their first two, I need to get their second album, The Dark, at some point. But this and The Dark are two amazing duality albums for me. Fucking amazing shit. Next up, finally got some more Motorhead, and I got Another Perfect Day. One of the best Motorhead albums for me. For tracks like Back at the Funny Farm, Dancing on Your Grave, Marching to War, Shine. And it's a weird lineup. Like, it's Lemmy and Filthy Animal Phil Taylor and Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy on guitar. And even though he looked out of place in Motorhead, he played his ass off on this album. I really like it. Next up, completing the 80s stuff from Ozzy, I got Speak of the Devil. The amazing live album where he's playing Sabbath songs with Rudy Sarzo on bass, Tommy Aldridge on drums, and what the fuck is his name? Brad Gillis from Night Ranger on guitars, and Brad did an amazing job. I only wish that this album would have come with like the original tracks of Ozzy's solo career, that same show. Excuse me, because that would have been cool to have both the original material and the Sabbath material on this. But I got the Sabbath material version, and it's great. I love this album. Now we're going to get into a pair, and finally I got these two albums in the collection after so long. We got Rainbow, Rising, and Long Live Rock and Roll. The two best of the Dio era of Rainbow. I am missing the debut, which I do plan to get at some point, and maybe the first one with Graham Bonnet. But these two, especially Rising for me because of songs like Starstruck, the title track, and A Light in the Black. Fucking brilliant songs. And then with Long Live Rock and Roll, of course, the title track, Kill the King, Gates of Babylon. Just both albums, mid to late 70s metal gems. Amazing stuff. We only got 4 more left. Next up, we got Revocations, The Outer Ones. This is one of my favorites from 2018. And I remember talking about this album in the Horseman podcast episode where we did the year-end list. This is a hell of an album, and definitely showing where Revocation would be going nowadays, especially with that new album, Nether Heaven. But yeah, Outer Ones is awesome. And then the final pair we have Saxon. We have Strong Arm of the Law and Denim and Leather. What else needs to be said about Saxon that hasn't been said already? Legends of new wave of British heavy metal, along with Iron Maiden and Motorhead and early Def Leppard, Diamond Head, Venom, you name it. Fucking great albums. I think I might like Denim and Leather a little bit more because you got Princess of the Night and the title track, whereas here the song Heavy Metal Thunder and Strong Arm of the Law are great. But I think I like the more polished sound on this one a little bit more than this. But both are amazing. Check them out too. And then the final album and the cheapest one that I got, Skid Row's self-titled debut. It's a great album even for hair metal standards, but thankfully they got better on Slave to the Grind and Subhuman Race. I need to get Subhuman Race to get the Sebastian Bach era Skid Row material, a.k.a. the good Skid Row. But yeah, definitely an awesome album right here. And that does it for this collection update video. Probably be a little while before we would get another one. My cutoff is usually at 15 CDs. If I get 15 CDs, I'll generally do an update. Otherwise, you won't see one for a little while. But thank you guys for watching. What was your favorite album out of that stack? As like I said, I went ham in Tennessee on CD buying. I said I would, and I did. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Horns high. See you guys later. Wake up.
This is interesting.
And wow. I can go ahead and confirm.
I was the revealer. I was flip Levi's card. There's my revealer card.
I was hoping this would happen. Okay.
The heck happened?
Alright.
What in the
world? Oh god.
Misappropriated.
Okay, I was the robber and I took Seth's revealer.
What the heck?
So Seth and I are safe. Bad news for everyone else.
And I'm a prince again.
I literally was squinting because I'm like, that looks like a revealer card, but wait, I'm the revealer.